military-industrial complex. The potential for the disastrous rise of misplaced power exists and will persist.
Whether we believe in our capacity for self-government or whether we abandon the American Revolution and confess that a little intellectual elite can plan our lives for us better than we can plan them ourselves.
That the only thing we have to fear is fear itself. Fear itself. Fear itself. Fear itself. Where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character.
The fight with growing confidence and growing strength in the air, we shall never surrender.
My prepper brothers and sisters, you've arrived at the bunker. Grab a cup of joe, a stout tea, or maybe your favorite adult beverage. This is the prepper's place for open discussion on whatever the hell we want. Brought to you whatever the hell way we want. This is the new format of Top's Bunker. So sit down, kick back, post up, relax, and welcome to the bunker.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
Military-industrial complex.
And we as a people will get to the promised land.
We will make America strong again, proud again, safe again. We will make America great again.
Preppers, survivalists, off-gridders, homesteaders, and the like. Welcome to Top's Bunker, a podcast for preppers. Leave a voicemail to get on the show, speakpipe.com/tops, or use the live message option on our Facebook group, Top's Bunker. Email us at shtf@topsbunker.com. Visit our site, topsbunker.com. I want to thank you all for joining us. We got a great show for you tonight. Imagine this. It's the first real cold snap of the season. You're curled up on the couch, hot cocoa in hand, and the wind is howling outside. A picture-perfect winter evening at home. Now you think you're ready to face the winter, but suddenly you hear it. A drip from the ceiling, a bursted pipe in the basement, or worse, the furnace grinding to a halt. That cozy moment, gone, and the blame, it falls squarely on winter, and maybe a little bit on us for not being fully prepared. Winter is a force of nature, and it doesn't take prisoners. From sub-zero temperatures to unexpected snowstorms, it tests every crack, seam, and system in our homes, our vehicles, our gear, and our bodies. If you're not prepped, the consequences can range from inconvenient to downright catastrophic. But here's the thing, winter doesn't have to win. With the right preps, you can stay ahead of the frost and survive the winter like a seasoned pro. Tonight, we're diving into some of the things we can do as preppers to winterize our world and prepare for the worst. Because surviving the season isn't just about staying warm, it's about staying smart. These aren't just chores to check off a list. They're investments in your comfort, safety, and peace of mind. From sealing up those drafts to prepping your car, from insulating your attic to stocking up your prepper pantry. We'll discuss the advantages of being prepped and the dangers of not. Keep in mind, it can't be stopped. Winter is coming, and in many ways, it's the true test of every prepper survivalist. Let's get to it. And I got a fly flying around this deer blind here. If I can't catch it, it just keeps touching me. All right, so I'm going to give you guys a top 20 list of winter preps for preppers and survivalists. Not necessarily only for winter prepper survivalists, but also going to be for your home as well. And I'll probably start with some of the home stuff, but it's all going to be based around your home. Jeremy and Buddy, I know you guys have your own thing you want to get into, so I'm going to go ahead and start this list right now, and then you guys can go on after me. All right, so number one, we're going to inspect insulation if needed. Now, you got to add extra insulation to your attic spaces if you own a home. Okay. And also your basement areas. A lot of people don't know that insulation over time goes away, flattens, becomes less effective. So you got to check that. Inspect it up in your attic. It's a big heat loss of your attic. So you definitely want to check that out. Number 2 is going to be seal all air leaks. You're going to use weather stripping and foam to seal drafts around doors, windows, utility penetrations like pipes and electrical going outside, dryer vents, that sort of thing. Use heavy duty caulking if needed around your outside of your windows and your doors. Some people may not be aware that caulking, loses its plasticity over time. All right, number 3 is going to be winterize your plumbing and HVAC systems. Insulate pipes with foam pipe insulation. You've all seen it. Put it over your pipes, and you can do it under your sinks and in your basements. Anywhere where you've got water lines, you should insulate those if they're not. You can also insulate the pipes that are outside on your HVAC system if you own the home. Now, remember, if you are leasing or renting and you're in an older type of a place, you should be getting your maintenance people to check these things as well, because it's your AC and it's your heat and electricity that's being used when windows aren't sealed properly or heat is escaping. So this goes for everybody. You also need to have a backup plan for preventing freezing, such as heat tape, heat lamps, which I use both in my house for the wintertime. I've got a heat tape that runs on my water pipe that comes in from the pump outside, and it runs through a little section of bricks outside that can freeze up. So I got some heat tape in there. It's super cheap. Go down to any hardware store and you can probably buy it for $10-12, depending how long it is. And basically all you do is just plug it in. And the tape heats up very, very slightly. Does not get super hot, but it heats up just enough to keep those pipes from freezing. So get yourself some of that. Make sure that your heating systems like furnaces, heat pumps, forced air, electric central heating systems are in top peak running condition. They need cleaning, they need servicing and maintaining. If you're a homeowner, you know all about it. And if you can't do any of this kind of stuff, just hire somebody. You can also go on Google or YouTube and you can actually learn how to do this stuff. Number 4 is inspect and clean your roof and gutters. This is actually pretty important. You got to remove debris from your gutters. If you don't, they'll fill up with water. They will freeze and they'll go heavy and they'll break off, and it's very expensive, but it can also hurt somebody, cause damage. Also check your roof for weak points that could fail under the heavy snow, ice, that sort of thing. You want to check all that stuff. I would also, while you're up there, check trees if there's any big limbs or anything that's hanging over your house that may be getting old, because if they get that snow weight on them, they could break and actually come down and hit your house. You don't want that happening in the wintertime. All right, number 5 is check and test alternative lighting. You want to stock up on batteries, LED lanterns, candles, oil lamps, and oil. Make sure that all these things are functional and ready to use. Number 6, winterize your vehicle. Now, this is something that Buddy's going to be talking about in a little bit, but you want to equip your vehicles with, snow tires if you're in that type of an area, emergency kit, blankets, extra fuel, that kind of thing. Number 7 is protect livestock and pets. Ensure that outdoor animals have adequate shelter, food, and water sources that won't freeze. That's an important one. We forget about that. Stock up on supplies and store them indoors away from pests and rodents. I did not remember that, and I had a whole bag of chicken feed that was eaten by something. It happens. Number 8, secure outdoor structures. Inspect sheds, greenhouses, fences, barns, chicken coops, outbuildings, all that kind of stuff. Any type of structure you have that's outside of your home, check it, inspect it. Just take a walk around it, kick the walls, that sort of thing. Reinforce them if you have to for high winds, heavy snow, freezing temperatures. Just do a little inspection. It's easy, and for me, it's fun. I like doing it. Number 9, create an emergency water supply. Store at least 1 gallon of water per person per day for 2 weeks. So like for one person, that would be 14 gallons of water. That's a lot. Picture like 14 gallons of milk. It's a lot of water. And you want to also make sure you've got some purification methods like filters, tablets, that sort of thing, in case you run out and you have to use some other type of water source, melting snow, a stream, your pool, whatever it might be. I cannot stress how important it is to have fresh drinking water in your preps. Number 10 is stockpile long-term food supplies. Ensure that you have a variety of shelf-stable foods like canned goods, freeze-dried meals, oats and grains, snacks, coffee, and powdered milk. I basically cannot survive without coffee, and I drink my coffee creamed. So I got to have powdered milk if I have to, creamer. We always have that stuff in our prepper pantry. Snacks are also good, makes you feel good. So, grab a couple of protein bars or, chocolate bars, that kind of thing. Snickers is always my go-to. Number 11 is stockpile cold weather gear. Have heavy-duty winter clothing, gloves and hats, thermal underwear and socks, thermal blankets, sleeping bags, and insulated waterproof boots. Always good to have. Make sure that you have enough for every family member, and don't forget about your pets. I know it's totally weird, but I've got coats for my dogs in case, for those real freezing times where they got to go outside. I put them on them and they go and they're perfectly happy. They can stay out there forever. By the way, remember to take them off when you get back in the house because they will overheat. Their bodies aren't made for that. Number 12, stockpile fuel sources. Store propane, kerosene, firewood, kindling, fire logs and starters and other heating fuels in a safe, accessible location to last the entire winter season. It is awesome. It is great to have a fireplace until you run out of wood. Not good. When you run out of wood, your fireplace is basically just a place for your warm air to escape the house. They do make fireplace plugs, by the way. So if you have a fireplace or a wood-burning stove, they do make these balloon type things that you put in there and fill up with air. So it keeps your hot air from leaving the house. Just make sure you take them out before you light a fire. Number 13, build a salt and ice melt reserve. Keep rock salt, ice melt, and sand on hand to maintain walkways and driveways in case of ice buildup. This pretty basic stuff there. It's common sense. Another thing people won't remember is you will not be able to find this stuff in late January and February. And if you do, it's going to be very expensive and it's going to be very limited supplies. So stock up on that right away. Number 14, maintain your bug out bag. We probably should have added this to the deal, but I'm just going to say something quick on it. Update your bug out bag for winter essentials like hand warmers, extra layers, emergency blankets, snacks, water filtration, that kind of stuff. Just double check it for your winter needs. Number 15, install backup communication systems. Have a hand crank radios, NOAA radios, ham radios, and two-way handheld radios. I also had on there satellite phones, but I took it off the list because I don't think anybody has satellite phones. I've never even seen one, so I don't know. You want to make sure these things are ready for emergency communications at all times. Check the batteries and chargers, make sure that they're all functional and ready to go, and continually check them throughout the winter to make sure they're still in good condition. Number 16, plan for long-term power loss. Evaluate and test off-grid power solutions like solar panels, solar systems, wind turbines if you have them, battery power banks. Backup energy sources is critical in extended outages. So I'm sure you can talk to anybody who's been in that situation. The worst thing to do is running out of power. Number 17, install a wood stove. Kind of difficult, kind of expensive, but install a wood stove or backup heat source. A wood-burning stove or a fireplace provides a grid-down heating solution during power failures. That's pretty much common sense. It's probably too late in the season for you to do something like that, but if you have somebody that's got a wood-burning stove that's sitting in the garage and not using, ask if you could buy it. Maybe you could barter for it. Look on Facebook Marketplace. They got them all over the place. In fact, I saw one in my area. We missed out on it because we didn't call fast enough, but it was free to pick up a wood-burning stove. It was a big one, like the kind you cook on. And by the time we got to them, it was already gone. Number 18, prepare for power outages. Invest in a solar power generator or a hand crank charger or backup batteries to charge essential devices like cell phones and laptops. Also, get a power bank for jump-starting dead car batteries. Extreme cold conditions will kill a car battery. Even a good car battery can go dead in extreme cold conditions. Number 19, create a warm room strategy. Designate one insulated room in your home as a central warm area in case of extended power loss. Use thick curtains or blankets to seal it off. Prepare this area ahead of time so that it's ready to be used as a makeshift bug-in space at a moment's notice. And lastly, number 20, install heavy curtains and insulated window covers. Blackout or thermal curtains help retain heat and block out cold drafts. They also reduce visibility to potential intruders, looters, predators, marauders, that sort of thing. Anybody who might want to come in, you don't want them to know what room you're in. So these things also block out light. So that is my top 20 list. I know that I'm going to get, all kinds of comments about, you forgot this, you forgot that. This is just a list. This is not the end all. This is a list for me to tell you guys so that you can start thinking on your own. It gives you ideas of where to start. And then from there, you go and you do the things that you need that's necessary for your life and your situation, and that sort of thing.
All right, so it's like Keith said, it's very important to keep everything in tip-top shape. Your house, your car, yourself. What you don't want to do is put yourself at risk with actually going out in a snowstorm or in an ice storm or any kind of serious cold and have to do stuff that you should have done when it was a lot warmer. So this episode, we're trying to help you prepare. And like Keith said, it's not an end-all be-all list. It's just some things that we come up with that, we practice in our own life to help you get your wheels turning, because your preps are different than our preps. All right, I'll start out with the winter vehicle preparedness. First off, you need to make sure your vehicle's in tip-top shape. Now's the time to do it before it gets too cold. If you do your own vehicle maintenance yourself, I'd rather do it, when it's a little warmer out and there's not inclement weather. There's nothing like putting on your winter tires, in a snowstorm. So, if you need to put them on now, but things to look out for. And there's also, there's some local, I know the place I changed my oil the other day, they're like, hey, can we check these things out for you for the upcoming winter? And I was like, man, that's a great idea. So some of the things they checked was they checked all the belts, they checked the hoses, fluids, filters, the battery. They tested my battery, checked the cables. They looked at all the fluids, make sure they were all in the right, at the right levels. They did a brake check, which was kind of cool. They checked the wipers and the wiper fluid. That's very important, especially you get into these winter roads that, places put salt, sometimes places put sand on the road, whatever. You're going to run through that fluid quickly. So that's something you might want to keep some extra in your trunk. You need to check your heater and your defroster just to make sure that they're working. The worst time to figure out your heater's not working is when it gets cold out. Make sure you have tread on your tires. Make sure you have the proper tires for your area. Make sure your tires are inflated. Hot weather compared to cold weather does different things to your tire levels, so keep an eye on those. When the temperature drops, usually you lose a little bit of pressure on there. And then you need to have a robust kit in your vehicle that has certain things in it. Like normal, you want to have a toolkit in there, just for basic tools in case something breaks down. Like I said, this is just a few things. You might do some other things in your area, or you might not have to do some of these things.
Yeah, winter hasn't started yet. There's still plenty of time to get your vehicle into shape. People die in their vehicles in wintertime. It happens every single winter in the United States, all over the world. But it happens all the time. And just a few simple little things that, you could probably get at Walmart for $20-$30 could have saved the lives. That's the truth of it.
Well, yeah, and there's a class that I've been looking at for like 3 years now. So it's a little course. You go out for 3 days. You go for a weekend. It's in Utah. So you drive up to Utah, up in the mountains, and you pull up in this little, I would call it a rest area or a little area. Then all of a sudden, bam, once you get there, your vehicle broke down. And it's usually there's a bunch of snow up there, or it's snowing, and you got to live out of your vehicle for the weekend with what you came up there with. And they do give you a list of things to bring with you, but you have to survive out of what you have in your vehicle. That makes it interesting, to say the least. And a lot of people don't think of this stuff until, it's too late. I'm guilty of that as well. If you can survive it, you come back and you learn lessons from it, but it's that survival thing. And in wintertime, it seems like it's a little less forgiving than in the summertime. Most people are used to the areas they live in and driving in those different conditions. But, when you go, you're used to driving in the snow in New York, or for me, where I was living before I moved to New York, there was a lot of ice. And we didn't get a lot of snowstorms. If we did, it wasn't bad. It was a dusting, but mainly ice. Well, up there they have snow, and it's a different type of snow than what I got. The wind-blown snow in Oklahoma. So,
Yeah, I grew up driving in snow, and I'm outstanding at it. No problems whatsoever. And I even went through the mountains of Colorado. Rhonda and I did, and she described it to one of her friends as he has nerves of steel. You're up on those mountain roads, like with cliffs on one side, and you're on ice, and you're just driving. I have no problem with it. I was on the highway in Texas once, and I was, doing my thing, being nice and cautious. I think I was only doing like 50 and a 70 because it was ice and snow, and there was an off ramp coming up. So I slowed down a little bit. This big old truck. This guy in his big old truck, he thought, I got the 4-wheel drive, no problem. And he went whipping past me at like 90, smashed that beautiful truck all over the place. And I just cruised on past him.
That may or may not have happened to me.
Was that you? Was that a big black truck?
No, I used to laugh at people because I drive by them going about 70. A lot of times when they don't clear the roads all the way, you got those two little, you have snow in the middle of, you have a path. So here I am. You should have bought a 4-wheel drive. Look at that Prius over there, man. Next thing I know, I did about 5 spins and was, off the road. And it's like people are driving, laughing at me and stuff. So, yeah. I was younger then. I slowed down. So,
I did want to touch on a couple of things that you guys both said. First one, people dying during the wintertime by making the wrong decisions. The biggest one is using the wrong heating source indoors without proper ventilation, and people dying from carbon monoxide poisoning. You can't smell it. You don't know what's happening. You just go to sleep, but you never wake up. It happens every year, all over the United States. And a lot of times it's unfortunately older people, or people who have, I guess the proper word would be slightly lower income housing. They figure out a way to heat their home, and then the next thing you know, they're on the news, and then the other one is being in shape, especially during the winter. Having a base of cardio and core during the winter, especially for people who have to shovel their drive and, get out there and clear pathways. That is a lot of work. And every year also, you hear about it on the news. This guy was out shoveling his driveway and he died of a massive heart attack. And the proper foods during the winter to keep you actually fueled. A lot of people don't know this, but when you're in the wintertime and you're doing physical labor, that's actually, you're more susceptible to being not only needing a significant amount of water, but actually becoming a heat casualty during the winter. I can recall, and I think we've talked about this before, quite some years ago. I was in a military school and I did not feel thirsty. And I was using a urinal, and basically what came out looked like chocolate milk. I wasn't drinking water, doing physical labor in a military school during the wintertime. And apparently I was in the early stages of basically renal failure. My kidneys were shutting down. So consuming a lot of water, but with the proper nutrient dense foods during the wintertime is extremely important. But I want to talk about power generation. Power generation during the wintertime, for me personally, is a mix of different things. And the top one I'll go with right off the bat is having a tri-source generator. It can take regular fuel, it can take propane, and it can take fuel mix. They're different price depending on where you go and the level in which you want to go, ranging anywhere from about $800-900 for the lower end, low watt usage, up to $3,000 or $4,000. You can get them at Lowe's, you can get them at Home Depot. Walmart actually offers some that you can order online. But having a 3-source generator, very specifically, and I'm going to talk about a regular generator, is really cool because you don't have to depend on just gas. Propane tanks are fairly inexpensive. You can get them exchanged. You can get them refilled. I keep about 6 to 8 on hand at home at all times, and they last a long time. And the great thing about propane is you don't have to concern yourself with getting them swapped out, in a manner of time, as it the same way that you do regular fuel.
Are these the propane tanks that you use for like your grill, the round ones?
Same exact propane. And I know some people who have these and they actually will go out and get the larger tanks that you actually sometimes see on different kinds of RVs. They're a little bit more slender, but they're taller. And that will last a significant amount of time if you need to use a generator. The second one is a regular generator. Some people cannot afford a tri-source generator. I get it. They're more expensive, but you can get a regular generator that runs on regular gas, anywhere from $250 to $350, and they're pretty good. But for both of these types of generators, if you're going to try to run a significant amount of stuff inside of your house, you have to have an electrician install the correct breaker box add-on onto your breaker, so that way you can actually backfill it into the breaker box, and it runs. It's not going to run everything, depending on your wattage output. But if you need to just run, say, your refrigerator, freezer, and a couple of other things, it works pretty well. I have a friend of mine. He has a 3-source generator, and he took a 50-foot piece of power cord for a 30 amp RV power source, cut the back end of it, pigtailed it with a outlet, or a for what you would normally use for your dryer, pigtailed it into that line, and then has that connected to his generator. And if anything happens, he goes and turns off the main breaker. He plugs in that pigtail into his dryer outlet, and it will power his home. Not everything, but quite a few things. So
What you were talking about, connecting your generator to your breaker box. If you don't know how to do this, you really need to hire an electrician, and there has to be some special gear switching that goes on there, because it's not that it's illegal. It might be, but if you connect a generator to your home power source and you don't use the right switching, that electricity can actually go back out into the lines and kill somebody down the road.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got to be really careful when it comes to that stuff.
Yeah.
But it is a great solution, man, because those switches are instant. As soon as your power goes out, your generator kicks on.
Yeah. And with either one, if you're going to use either a tri-source or a regular gasoline generator, with that gas, make sure that it's being rotated out. For a generator, I only use ethanol-free gas. On all of my small engine anything, I only use ethanol-free.
Where do you get that at?
Ethanol-free gas, you can get it at most gas stations. You just look for the blue pump.
Oh, that's the one you're talking about. Okay. No, because they sell some really good gas at like some of the auto stores, like in cans.
Yeah.
I think it's expensive, but
it is expensive, but it's ready to go. I use those for, say, like my weed eater, my leaf blower, and a lot of my small engines that are 2-cycle. They come pre-mix, and it's ethanol free. And the ethanol free is really important for small engines to keep the fuel lines cleaned out. Because regular gasoline these days, what they make us use here is just junk. It's trash. It's
got water in it too.
It's got water and corn and other BS. So I only use ethanol free in all of my small engine, and that includes the generator that's on my RV. So, and then the next one, we'll go with whole house generator. So, for instance, you can go with a company like Generac. Generac is a backup power source that backfeeds your home instantly when the power goes out. They're a pretty large system, and you can get them in varying degrees of wattage output. They have to be installed by the Generac company, and there's a bunch of different companies that offer these. Generac, Renogy has a whole house backup, and there are several others, but it's a neat system to have. Unfortunately, it is quite pricey.
It's expensive, but I think those bigger companies like Generac will offer financing too, if you're able to.
Yes. Yeah, they do. I've looked into that. And it's a neat idea, it's just, man, it is expensive. And it sucks that it's so expensive. If you look at for instance, a Generac Guardian, 24 kilowatt, backup generator, it ranges anywhere from 5,000 to 7,000, depending on where you're getting it from. They do have some smaller models available for around 2,000. But it's really what you are trying to, power. Like if you're only trying to power your fridge and maybe have some lights going, I mean, that's one thing. But if you're trying to power your whole house and, play video games and do all those other things, that's a lot of friggin' power that people don't think about. They don't, think about those kinds of things. Hell, even just to run your refrigerator is quite a bit of power. That's something to think about. And then the next one would be whole house solar. Whole house solar is becoming increasingly popular because there are now government subsidized programs to help you get whole house solar. The only issue is that if you go with those grants or if you go with those government programs, yes, the power is going into your batteries. The only issue is you may not necessarily own that power. It's regulated by the power company. And like where I live in North Carolina, there's only one power company, pretty much. And that's Duke Energy. And they're going to get their money. Whole house solar installed, if you can afford it, by a private company. And what it does is they put the solar panels on your house or in a array where that maximizes the sun in a 12-hour period. That power is converted into a converter, and then that converter then stores that energy into large, basically the same kind of battery you would see in like an RV or a large boat. It stores the energy into those. And then when your regular power in your home is off, the power from those battery packs, which are in line in a series, is fed into the home. It is not the same amount of output. It is not the same amount of density as power you're receiving from like the city, but it is power. And the great thing is it does its thing at night, and then during the day, when the sun comes back out, it's recharging. But with the issue with winter is most times you'll often see overcast days, rainy days, cloudy days. Those have an effect on the type of sunlight that's going into your solar panels. The way around this is you're going to end up coming out a little bit more money, is getting a microcrystalline type of solar panel. If you look at a solar panel, you can see these lines in these grids. And oftentimes when you're looking at them, they're these perfectly spaced out lines. When you start to see lines that are super duper close, they're pulling in the same amount of sunlight, but they're actually converting that energy more efficiently and a lot quicker than you would see on the large grid. It takes a lot longer for that energy to be converted when you have a large square versus a much, much, much smaller square. And then lastly, you have your battery packs. There's a bunch of different companies. I personally use Renogy and Jackery. Jackery is a bit more expensive, in my opinion, but you can get varying sizes of these different battery packs. And basically what they are is you can charge them in your car, you can charge them with the wall, or you can purchase the solar panels, and the solar panels will charge the battery pack itself directly, and you can still continue to use it. So a lot of people think battery pack is like, you get that small one that's 10,000 milliamps or whatever for your phone. What I'm talking about is it's a large box. It's got a handle. Mine particularly has 6 regular 110 outlets, and then it has a 30 amp outlet as well. Mine's pretty big. And then I have a microcrystalline solar briefcase, which charges it if I need to charge it with the sun. I also have the wall outlet, and then I also have the car charger as well. So power generation during the wintertime in the event of power loss. And, there's a lot of different places. If you say what's going on over there in Oklahoma for y'all, lots of wind, and ice builds up on those lines, weighs them down. Next thing you know, power's gone. And the linemen have to find the source of the power loss before they can fix it. So you might be looking at quite a while. So that is my piece on power generation.
That's outstanding. Buddy, did you have something else you wanted to run through? Something about bug out bags?
Yeah. You're looking at a total setup different for the wintertime than summertime for your car. Some of it's overlap, other things aren't. Man, my truck, I call it the command center because there's so much stuff I can do out of my truck. If I don't have it in there, I feel like I don't need it, but I'm sure there's stuff in there that I'm thinking all the time, oh, it'd be great to have this. But I have, my daily, get home bag or my computer bag. I have an ankle kit that's a first aid kit with a tourniquet on it. I'm carrying tourniquets in my pocket. I don't know. I've taken some medical training and seen the need and had to use it enough to where I have enough medical training, and I'm not scared to stop at an accident and help out if need be. So it's good to have that stuff. Also, a rope or a tow strap would be handy to have. If you do go off the side of the road and get into a snowbank, or it's icy out there and you get into a ditch, or jump a curb or whatever it may be, having some kind of recovery strap or some kind of means of recovery would be helpful.
It's funny when Rhonda bought her truck, she went to the store to outfit it, with emergency stuff. That's the first thing she grabbed off the shelf was the tow strap.
They're underutilized for sure. Especially a lot of people get out there and they break them. Out on the farm, I would, try to pull some things out or throw it around a log or something. I would break them all the time. Well, a broken tow strap means or a broken ratchet strap. It's now a tow strap for me. So you can use them for your UTVs or side-by-sides or, smaller trucks. And I don't know. I repurpose a lot of things. So those are some things that, you should have a lot of these things in your car or your vehicle at all times. But, it's just add them to your list if you didn't think of them yourself. I'm sure there's a lot of other things you guys carry that I might have missed. But, hey, just something that I come up with.
And men and women have different needs as well. So, we're coming from a man's point of view, and Rhonda wasn't able to jump on today. So I'm sure there's lots of stuff that women would think of that we were like, oh, damn, I never would have thought of that.
That's a big point, especially as dads. We sometimes dads, we talk big game, especially if we have boys too, but you always got to think about the fact that girls have girl things and girl needs. And I have to remind myself of that sometimes.
Well, very, very true, man. And I have, back when my girls were younger, it's 2 below 0 with the wind chill of 20 below, and they were wearing shorts and Crocs, and one to wear, in a t-shirt or a hoodie maybe, and with a blanket around them going to school. I'm like, what are you doing? And it's a good practice to make them wear clothes, make them wear a nice jacket, a warm jacket at least, and throw in their, pockets, some gloves, a scarf, and watch cap, a toboggan, a toque, or whatever you want to call it, something for their head to keep the heat in. Because you do have a lot of heat loss from you.
Yeah, I know from raising boys, if you're going to get them gloves and hats, go ahead and buy 2. Because a lot of times they don't make it home.
Yeah.
Hey, 1 is none. And 2 is 1, especially at school. At the end of the year, I learned this after, a few years of losing, going out and buying a nice Columbia jacket for the girls. And, it's a lot of money for me. I was in the military, so.
It's a lot of money for everybody.
Yeah, losing them and stuff. And towards the end of the year, I would ask, hey, do you have a lost and found? And not ask about the lost and found, but you ought to see this stuff in there. And at the end of the year, if nobody takes it, they donate it. So I was like, hey, what do you got in there?
Yeah, rummage through that shit, man. Pick out some stuff you like.
Yeah.
I've always wondered when the kids would come home, especially as teenagers, and they're like, yeah, I don't even know where that hoodie I had on this morning went. I'm like, how in the world do you lose an entire article of clothing in the span of time from when you left wearing it to when you got home and you're not wearing it? How does that happen? Hell, my youngest probably has half of my hoodies. She steals hoodies.
Yeah. When my girls got old enough to start wearing my stuff, I think they wore it even when they were younger stuff. But like in high school, there wasn't a sacred hoodie, that I had. So jackets, hoodies, whatever.
I still hear Rhonda say things to her daughters like, you're not too old enough for an ass whooping.
Yeah.
So
yeah. I brought you in this world. I can take you out.
Yes.
So, the next thing I want to talk about is I'm not necessarily a bug out bag guy. I do have one, but I'm talking about in your vehicle a get home bag, because I mean, it's warmer in my house than it is in my car, and I'm more comfortable there. So things that I pack, and these are some things that I have in mind, and a few of them that I'm going to add after doing a little bit of research for this. To add to my get home bag, one of the first things is you want to have extra gloves, mittens, and I'll talk about mittens here in a second compared to gloves. Hats, something over your head, a scarf, extra winter socks in there. You want to cover your whole family, or, I don't have, my kids are grown, and I'm traveling by myself. Usually, if I'm lucky, I have a friend. I have one friend. So if my one friend is in the vehicle with me, then I'm going to have an extra pair of socks in there just in case, something to keep warm. But you need to have extra stuff in there for them, because, you're going to have those kids, that go to school in the Crocs and like I talked about earlier, Crocs and shorts and, 10-degree weather, or they lose their jacket on the way home. And, you're able to cover down on them. Also have a nice extra winter jacket in there, either for yourself or somebody else. And I have an old military parka with a hood, a nice jacket with a collar, like a packable down or something, is nice to have. But if you have a hood with that, you increase your chances of staying warmer with a hood. It does a tremendous job with, just extra heat, and blocks the wind and keeps the rain out. And, and in the Army, we had a saying that, if it's raining, I'm not, it doesn't bother me so much. If it's cold, it doesn't bother me so much. But if it's raining and it's cold, that's misery right there. So, keep that in mind, that, you're a dry person's a happy person. So keep that in mind. Have some boots in your vehicle, like winter boots, something that's, you might drive to work, females might drive in their high heels or whatever, but have some boots in there in case you got to get out and walk. And that's something I preach when I do consulting for the get home bag, is like, hey, have some in the summertime or in other seasons, have a pair of, shoes you can walk in, because your shoes that you wore to the office aren't appropriate for walking home. If you need to walk, 10, 35 miles, 20 miles, whatever it may be.
Yeah, and also remember about wear and tear. I've got a really nice pair of winter boots. They're absolutely toasty. They're made for sub-degree, for like 40 below, waterproof, the whole 9 yards. These are amazing boots. I can't remember what brand they are, but probably can't remember what brand yours because of what I'm about to say. Only wear them when you need to wear them, because you will wear them out. So you don't have to buy a $150 pair of snow boots or winter boots every year. You can buy one pair, only use them when you need them, and you'll have them for 10 years. Don't wear them out. There's no use. Don't go buy $100 pair of snow boots and wear them from Thanksgiving to March. Wear them only when you need them. Don't wear them out.
Yeah, and I have one of those stories that Jeremy talked about, going to a military school, and mine wasn't for water. I didn't have the right boots. And we got into a freak storm. Actually, it was at two different places, but the second time I was smarter. I had to go buy a pair, and they're very expensive winter boots. They're Danner boots. If anybody's familiar with Danners, they're not cheap. But I still have those Danner boots, and they're definitely going in my winter get home bag for sure. Because I don't wear them every day. They're still in great condition, and it'd be a great boot for a winter situation where you might get stranded. Also have a flashlight or some kind of torch or headlamp or something in case you do go off the road, or you get stranded where you can you might go into a large snowbank and need to see to get yourself out. So a flashlight, some kind of torch, some kind of light, a whistle. I've learned this recently. We used to use them in the military a lot for different purposes, but recently I've heard people talk about a whistle, and I've I train dogs, or have trained dogs in the past, where I use, train and whistle commands. And so now I have a whistle with me at all times. It might be around my neck right now, to where, you get in a snowbank or get stranded and, you hear a search party, yelling for you or whatever. And maybe you can't talk, or you can't yell loud enough, or, you crush your larynx or whatever. You can at least maybe blow, the whistle where they can hear you. It's a good practice to use. Have blankets or a sleeping bag in your vehicle. It's going to take up a lot of space, but it's also going to be warm. And if you need it, wool blankets are better than, your fleece blankets are okay. Wool blankets are better. You can find an old Army surplus store with a nice, get you an old wool Army blanket, the green ones or the gray ones or the black ones, whatever it may be. They're nice and warm. Or a good sleeping bag is going to help you regulate your body temperature and keep that heat in. So it's a good thing to have. Also have a knife, some kind of cutting tool. I like to carry a box blade. I always have a knife, maybe 3 knives on me at all times. Who knows? But have them on there, or in your bag or in your vehicle. Have them within reach in case you have to cut off a seatbelt, or you might have to cut some firewood, some twigs to get something going, for a little fire, just whatever it may be. Have the right knives available there. I've seen guys with their Swiss Army knife cut little branches out and make in a survival scenario where they're, cutting, branches off with a little Swiss Army knife and starting fires and surviving. So have something there. I have a folding saw underneath my seat of my truck, and a hatchet, to where in case I do need, to ever use it, it's there for me. It's a good practice to have. And duct tape. You can say the word duct tape. I should write a book, but duct tape is highly flammable, as well as it sticks to everything, and sometimes when you don't want it to. But duct tape, you can actually burn. It helps start the fire, but you can also use it as a rope, or you can use it for so many different things. Duct tape is so multi-purpose. Now, water. Always have water in your vehicle. Well, in the wintertime, it might freeze on you. So what you need to do, you can't really do anything about the water in your vehicle freezing. But if you have a metal container and a tea light, so I was talking about tea lights in a minute, but you can melt that water, and there you go. You have a way to, with a metal container, a single walled metal container, not your coffee mugs that you take to work that have double walls. Have a single walled, and they're cheaper too. That's what's cool about them. Have a single walled metal container where you can melt the ice or snow or anything else, to where you could, if you needed some water, a water source, there you go. I'll just go ahead and talk about the tea lights now. The little tea lights from the dollar store, you can, for $5, you can get, 20 or 30 or 40. I don't know. I have them all over my house and in my garage.
And don't get the scented ones, non-scent if you can.
Yeah. Just the really cheap non-scented tea lights. You can use them for a heating source in a car, and it's not going to put out a lot of fire or burn anything really as much, because it's pretty much self-contained. And you can warm your hands up, your feet. You can do a lot of things with it. It's just a good. You can use it to see with. You can use it for heat. You can do a lot. You can cook on it if you need to. Melt some water. A multi-purpose piece of kit there. Also, hand warmers. A lot of people use them when they go hunting. They stick them in their pockets, or they're in the pants or whatever. When I go camping, I throw them in my sleeping bag to heat up my feet. There's one or two of them at my feet, and one of them around my midsection, and one around, up around my
I got
hands.
tons of those things, but mine are like probably a few years old now, because you keep kit for such a long time. Do those things run out, or do they stay?
Oh, eventually they do. Yeah.
Do they? Okay.
But
mine might not be any good anymore.
Yeah. I
better check them.
Just have extra, buy some every year. And that's what I do. I buy some every year, and I probably need to put a date on them with a Sharpie or something, but that's something we can learn about. hand sanitizer. It's good to have hand sanitizer just from daily practice. Put some in your vehicle to where, hand sanitizer is one of those things where you can start a fire with it. You can do a lot of things with that alcohol and hand sanitizer. So it's a good thing to have in your bag. Let's talk about some food now. I use trail mix, power bars, have some kind of calories, but calorie is heat. And so you're going to need some kind of subsistence to keep yourself warm. So have something to eat, whatever you may have. Power bars last long, so you put them in there in your bag. They'll last the whole winter. Nuts, not going to last as long, but they'll last probably the winter. But have something just some kind of subsistence. I can't even say that word. How do you say that word?
Yeah. I'll eat a 10-year-old power bar. I don't care. Yeah. If I'm hungry, I'm eating it.
Yeah, and you need it, and you're eating it for food, and but you want the calories, you want the heat that it generates. So whatever your jam is, go for it. All right. So cell phone. Everybody has a cell phone in their pocket. At least 99.9% of this. Everybody has them. Make sure you have a charger with you. And I always carry 3 different power banks with me at all times. Have power banks with you. You can buy them for $30. Have it charged all the time because you never know when your power goes out. And then, in this situation, you've got to wait till you can make a 911 call or, text. A lot of times your cell phone won't work, but sometimes text, you won't have a good enough signal for a call, but a lot of times text will send out. So remember that if you can't make the call, go ahead and try text. And then a lot of times 911 calls will go through magically for some reason. I couldn't speak intelligently about it, but there we go. All right. Have a lighter with you or some, I like just regular lighters and waterproof matches. I'll take the matchbox, the waterproof matchbox, and wrap it with some duct tape. Lighters, same way. You can use the duct tape as a flint, start your fire with, and it's got multiple different purposes. All right, have some wet wipes with you. You might have to use the rest.
Dude wipes,
wet wipes, baby wipes, some kind of wipes with you because you might get, oil. You might have to work on your car. You might get oil on your hands. You might get this. You might get that. And instead of, getting it all over the place or getting it all over you, becoming flammable with oil or fluids or something like that, you can clean yourself with it. Use it for restroom. You can use it for whatever. They've got multi-purposes and they don't take up a lot of space.
I'm going to tell you what about baby wipes and certain other wipey products. Given the right temperatures, they can freeze. And I would tell you, find a way to warm them up a little bit before you put them on the back door of Brown Eye. Those suckers get super duper cold.
You didn't just say that, did you?
I did just say that. I'm telling you, I have been in freezing temperatures, and you got to do what you got to do. And if you have never been woken up by cold stuff, go ahead and slap a baby wipe on yourself.
Yeah, that's a good
brown eye. What did you just call it?
The backdoor brown
eye and chocolate milk pea. You're on a roll tonight, Jeremy.
Yeah, it's common speak when you're in the Army, so I guess it's
your disgusting meter is not turned up right now.
No, I keep it. I have to keep it down every once in a while.
Oh my God! All right, here we go. I got a few more here. So it's a good idea to have some ski goggles with you or some kind of goggles in case you get in a whiteout situation or a heavy snow and you have to hoof it. Sometimes you choose to, hey, I can't get the car out. I'm going to have to leave. If you make the choice that you're going to have to go get help or leave your current situation because it's dire, you're not going to. The government's not going to swoop in and protect you and save you, then you might need the goggles just, for the purposes that, they serve. It's also a good practice for a neck gaiter. If you know what that is, you know what it is. But it's just a piece of cloth that goes around your neck. You can put them on your head. You can do a lot of things with neck gaiters. You can wipe your butt with it. What do you call it? The brown eye? The one eye, brown eye? You can do many things with a neck gaiter.
The Top Spunker website is almost completed. Rhonda's working feverishly on it, and we've got neck gaiters on there.
Yeah, they're phenomenal,
Nice.
man. You can do a lot of things with them. Another thing that I personally have is a smaller tarp and a poncho in my vehicle, and they serve, ponchos are going to keep you dry. Tarp's going to keep you dry. If you needed to get out and go hoof it, throw that in your get home bag. You can make a shelter out of it. There's a lot of different things you do with tarp and a poncho. It's kind of self-explanatory, but if you need to understand what you don't know what the uses of a tarp or a poncho, Google it, or maybe I can do a whole podcast on it, because it's one of those things I can talk about for days. They've got many different uses. All right, the last thing I'll talk about is having yourself a radio. And when I say radio, I'm talking about a walkie-talkie type radio, something that's a dual band at least. A Baofeng is a good little radio for $20. You can get a Baofeng radio, and you can put in some channels in there to where, maybe if you have it pre-programmed in there, you can try to hit a repeater, or you can make mayday calls out on it. And somebody might actually hear it. If a CB radio, if you get a handheld CB and you're on a highway or something, you might be able to reach out to somebody with that. You can also listen to NOAA weather radio channels off of the Baofeng radio, which would be nice to know if you're in a blizzard or you get off the road, turn it to where you can hear the weather to see if, maybe there is a break in weather where you can go, get out of the vehicle and make a break for it. Or, hey, there's more snow coming, I think I'll stay here. So you'll be able to make some informed decisions with that, with your radio. That is about it for my list. I know it's,
Well, I should hope so, man.
between your
Damn.
car. Yeah. And between your car, one thing I'll say is with your butt.
You mean one more thing you'll say?
One more thing. Yeah, I'm full of one more things. So with your get home bag, a lot of things will fit in your get home bag, and you want to pack it up and have it there. And I would put your get home bag in the back seat if you can afford the space, and stick your snow shovels and the rest of that in your trunk. But don't stick it all in your trunk and forget about it, because you might get off the road into a snowbank and then you can't get out of your car. Okay, because you got into a bunch of deep snow, and now you can't, without busting a window out, crawl out of your car. So what are you going to do then? Have your bug out bag in the back seat so you can get to it. Now, stuff like the snow shovel, and you might be able to get through, if you have a car, you might be able to get through the back seat, to the trunk through the back seat, and that's an option with certain cars. And then, you might be in an SUV where it's all right there anyhow, or, the back of the truck, that's another thing. But just keep in mind, you gotta be a free thinker here. Nobody loves you but you, or nobody loves you better than yourself. And so you just need to make sure that, you're on top of your preps and you think through the problem, and that's the key to survival, is thinking through the problem.
Nice work, everybody. Any last words from anybody? You don't have to if you don't have it.
No, I'm good.
Well, I'll say one more thing.
Of course you do.
Yes. I just would like to make a shout out to our, people out across the podcast land out there. We got international listeners, and so I'd like to shout out to them. Ireland and what do we have? Germany and Eastern Europe.
We would love for any of those folks to come on.
Yeah, definitely. And just say, hey, is SpeakPipe still up? Is that still a thing?
It is. Nobody uses it. I got the free one going, so I don't think you can talk longer than like 2 minutes. But yeah, I'm running the free one now. I'm not going to pay for it if nobody's going to use it.
Yeah, get out there and use SpeakPipe and give us your email address or
Well, there's also one on the Bunker Facebook group. There's some kind of a recorded thing you can do there too, I think.
yeah, reach out to us and come on the podcast. If anybody wants to come on, reach out to us and come on.
Well, I was going to say those folks in Europe, and they can tell you. And I got to experience winter in Europe. They got a whole different kind of winter.
There's cold and there's cold in Germany, and that's all I'm going to say about that.
Man,
Russia. That's cold.
Like here in some places, we got places that are like stank hot. It is wicked ass wet cold in some places in Europe. Man, it's freezing over there during the winter.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to start a GoFundMe to go to Ireland. So I want to go. one of their exercises. They do their meetups or whatever out. And I follow them on Facebook, and I'm like, wow, that looks like a ton of fun. That's the kind of buddy fun I need right there.
Yeah, I'm going to reach out to Frank. Actually, I was going to do right before we got on, but I ran out of time. But I'm going to reach out to him today and find out when he wants to come back on the show and do a little talk. If you're from anywhere and you want to come on the show, but you may think you have nothing to offer, come on the show and ask us questions. You don't have to tell us a story. You can just come on and say, hey, I've always had a question about this, and this, 2 or 3 questions. Come on, and 10, 15 minutes, you're on the show. It's so easy to do. You don't have to run the show. We run the show. All you have to do is just come on and ask a question if that's what you want to do.
Stump the chumps.
Yeah.
Ask the panel questions. That might be a good podcast right there.
Yeah. We are going to be doing a live one coming up. I'm figuring out exactly how to do that, but we are going to be doing a live show, and we will let everybody know when it's going to happen, and you guys can come on and chat with us and all that kind of stuff. So,
My prepper brothers and sisters, winter can be unpredictable, but with a little preparation, you can face it with confidence. Take the time now to stock up on supplies, check on your loved ones, and prepare your world for whatever the season might bring. Remember, readiness isn't just about responding to challenges. It's about giving yourself peace of mind so you can truly enjoy the winter season. And if you start to feel a little overwhelmed with your winter preparedness goals, a warm cup of spicy eggnog, spiked or not, goes a long way to feeling better. Stay prepped, stay happy. Thanks for listening, and good night.